Your phone is on the table. It lights up. You don't touch it. No Instagram, no TikTok, no Twitter. No just checking something real quick. Your brain immediately panics. Let's begin. Chapter 1. Day 1 to 3. The panic mode. The moment you quit social media, your brain thinks something is wrong. Not, oh, interesting lifestyle choice. No. Your brain goes straight to, we are dying. This is because social media constantly feeds your brain dopamine. Dopamine is the chemical that says, hey, that felt good, let's do it again. It's the same chemical involved in food, sex, gambling, and yes, scrolling until your thumb goes numb. Every like, every comment, every new video gives your brain a tiny reward. Not a big reward, a tiny one. And tiny rewards are the most addictive ones. So when you suddenly stop, your brain doesn't calmly accept it. It notices the missing dopamine and goes into withdrawal mode. That's why the first few days feel uncomfortable. You may feel restless. You may feel bored in a way that feels aggressive. You may pick up your phone and unlock it without realizing why. This isn't you being weak. This is your brain being confused. Your brain has been trained to expect stimulation every few seconds. When it doesn't get it, it starts firing stress signals. This stress comes from an increase in cortisol, the stress hormone. Cortisol's job is to keep you alert when something might be wrong. Your brain interprets the lack of stimulation as a problem that needs solving. So it says, hey, maybe we should check Instagram again, just in case. You may also feel anxious for no clear reason. Not because anything bad is happening, but because your brain hates uncertainty. And social media filled every quiet moment. Silence feels suspicious now. During these first 3 days, your brain is basically pacing back and forth, checking its pockets, asking, wait, where did the dopamine go? Chapter 2. Day 4 to 7. The cravings and the lies. Around day 4, something interesting happens. Your brain starts lying to you. It whispers things like, you don't need to quit completely. Or, you should at least stay updated. Or my personal favorite, this is probably bad for your career. This is not logic. This is craving. Cravings don't feel like hunger. They feel like good ideas. Your brain is trying to get its dopamine fix back. So it starts negotiating. Scientifically, this happens because the reward system in your brain, mainly the nucleus accumbens, is understimulated. That system is used to high-frequency rewards, and now it's bored. And boredom, for a brain used to stimulation, feels almost painful. So your brain tries to recreate the habit loop. A habit loop has 3 parts: cue, behavior, reward. The cue might be boredom. The behavior used to be scrolling. The reward was dopamine. Now the cue is still there, but the behavior is gone. So your brain keeps screaming, hey, we're missing a step here. You may notice phantom phone vibrations. You may open apps that are no longer there. You may feel irritated by small things, like walls existing. This is completely normal. Your brain is recalibrating its reward system. Think of it like this. If you're used to eating extremely sugary food all day, fruit tastes boring at first. Not because fruit is bad, but because your taste buds are confused. Your brain is the same way. Chapter 3. Week 2. The fog and the awkward silence. By week 2, the cravings don't disappear, but they change. Instead of intense urges, you may feel a strange mental fog. Your brain feels slower. You might feel unmotivated. You might wonder if quitting social media broke your personality. It didn't. What's happening is that your dopamine baseline is resetting. When your brain gets too much dopamine too often, it becomes less sensitive to it. This is called dopamine downregulation. Basically, your brain says, we're getting too much pleasure, let's turn the volume down. so normal activities feel less exciting. When you quit social media, that volume knob slowly starts turning back up. But during the adjustment, things feel flat. This is why you might feel bored by things you normally enjoy. Your brain is relearning how to enjoy slower rewards. This phase is uncomfortable, but it's incredibly important. This is when your brain starts strengthening pathways related to focus, patience, and deep thinking. You might notice you can read longer without checking your phone. What about your vision on social life? When you stay off social media for long enough, something subtle but powerful happens to the way you see yourself and other people. Your brain slowly stops comparing your behind-the-scenes life to everyone else's highlight reel. Without constant exposure to perfectly angled photos, carefully edited bodies, fake productivity, and best life captions, your brain recalibrates what normal actually looks like. Neuroscience shows that repeated comparison activates stress and self-judgment circuits in the brain, especially in areas linked to self-image and social belonging. When those triggers disappear, your brain relaxes. You start judging yourself less harshly. You also start judging other people less. Social life stops feeling like a performance and starts feeling like connection again. Instead of thinking, "How do I look doing this?" your brain shifts to, "Am I enjoying this?" And that tiny change quietly improves confidence, relationships, and self-respect. Because your sense of worth is no longer being crowdsourced from strangers on a screen. Chapter 4. Week 3. The focus comes back. Around week 3, something magical starts happening. Your focus improves. Not dramatically. Not like you suddenly become a monk on a mountain, but noticeably. This happens because your prefrontal cortex is waking up. The prefrontal cortex is the part of your brain responsible for decision-making, planning, impulse control, and focus. Social media constantly hijacks this area by forcing it to make rapid decisions. Scroll or stop. Like or ignore. Watch or skip. When you stop feeding it that chaos, it starts working properly again. You may find it easier to stay with one task. Your thoughts feel less scattered. You don't feel the urge to check your phone every 2 minutes. Your brain is learning that it doesn't need constant stimulation to survive. Memory also improves. That's because constant switching between apps weakens working memory. When you quit, your brain stops multitasking and starts forming stronger memory connections. You may also notice emotional changes. You react less intensely to small problems. Your mood stabilizes. This happens because your brain's emotional regulation system isn't being constantly poked by comparison, outrage, and bad news. Your nervous system finally gets to relax. Chapter 5. Week 4. The rewiring. By week 4, your brain is officially rewiring itself. Neuroplasticity is the brain's ability to change its structure based on what you repeatedly do or don't do. When you quit social media, the neural pathways associated with constant scrolling weaken, and pathways related to focus, creativity, and self-reflection strengthen. You may feel more present, more aware of your surroundings, less rushed. This is because your brain's default mode network becomes more active. This network is responsible for self-reflection, creativity, and making sense of experiences. Social media constantly interrupts this network. Without those interruptions, your brain finally has space to think. You might have more ideas. You might feel more connected to real life. You might even feel bored again, but in a peaceful way. This is healthy boredom. This is the kind of boredom that leads to creativity, insight, and personal growth. Chapter 6. The emotional detox. One of the biggest changes after 30 days happens emotionally. Your self-worth starts detaching from external validation. Likes, comments, and views train your brain to associate approval with value. When you remove that system, your brain has to find value internally again. This takes time. But eventually you stop measuring your life against highlight reels. You feel less pressure to perform, less pressure to be seen, less pressure to constantly react. Your brain shifts from, how am I being perceived, to how do I actually feel? And that's a powerful shift. Conclusion. What you're left with. After 30 days without social media, your brain isn't perfect. You don't become immune to distraction. You don't suddenly hate your phone. You don't turn into a productivity robot. But your brain becomes quieter, more focused, more patient, more grounded. You realize how much mental space was being rented out to notifications, comparisons, and noise. And the most surprising part? You don't miss it as much as you thought you would. Because once your brain remembers what real stimulation feels like, scrolling just doesn't hit the same. And that's not discipline. That's neuroscience. Thank you for watching. Subscribe for more and hit like if you enjoyed this video. See you next time.